Hey guys and girls, I hope you've all been doing well. In today's video, I want to talk about subdomains and VHosts and the differences between them. When starting out with web app pen testing, VHosts and subdomains can turn out to be very confusing, just like they did for me. The topic usually arises when we talk about subdomain or VHost enumeration, and if the confusion is not cleared then and there, it might feel overwhelming for some. In this video, I'll be going through the exact problems I faced and a smooth unraveling of the mysteries behind subdomains and vhosts. For the first time, when I came across these terms, I couldn't understand why we even needed them. This is the reason why we need to answer this question before we move on to what they really are. When you register a domain through a DNS provider, you also have the option to add subdomains. For example, if your website is example.com, you might also want to register blog.example.com or admin.example.com, etc. Let's say once registered, you now want to host content through your server on these individual subdomains. But how do you do that? This is where vhosts come in. VHosts are configurations inside the server that tell the server which address to point to and what content to host for a specific request. Let me simplify that confusing statement for you through a simple example. Let's say the subdomain that you registered was blog.example.com and the files that you want to host through the subdomain is located in var www blog directory. You can use a script like this to configure a vhost in your server. In this particular example, the server is set up to listen to HTTP requests, and whenever there is a request for blog.example.com, it will lead the user to content host on var www blog directory. Now, you can obviously have multiple vhosts configured in the same server, and this is often done to save costs of having different servers for different subdomains. I'm saying this because I had a question when reading about this. Why can't we just have different servers for all the different subdomains? Honestly, we can, and a lot of big companies might do that too for load balancing, but in most cases, it would be an overkill assigning each subdomain an individual server. So, an example script for multiple vhosts in one server might look like this. The vhost approach uses DNS to find the server's IP, and then the server uses vhost configuration to decide which site or subdomain to show. The next question that comes up is, can they work independently? Now, here's the interesting part. I want you to pay attention to this part because this might just help you understand things like vhost fuzzing better. The first question is, can you reach a site or a subdomain without a vhost? Yes, you can, but only if the server hosts a single site or a single subdomain. For multiple sites to be hosted on the same IP in the same server, you need a way to tell the server where to point, which is exactly what vhosts do. Without them, you will only be able to get to the default vhost, which is when no host header matches any configured site, the server falls back to the default vhost. Can there be a vhost that exists without a DNS record? Yes, we need to understand that the server does not care about a site's DNS records. It only cares about the instructions it receives. You use DNS to reach a server, to convert a domain or a subdomain name to an IP, which then in turn requests the server to display a site. But a server can definitely host content without having a public DNS record as well. If that seems confusing, just remember, a server is just like a computer, like your PC, and it is configured to host content from a specific directory. For example, if a request says, I want to reach the IP 1.2.3.4, which is the server's IP in our case, and it wants to access the host secret.example.com, the server will respond if the vhost is configured for that site. It does not check whether the domain or the subdomain is public or registered. It just matches the strings and returns the site if available. This is where vhost fuzzing comes in. Let's say at IP 1.2.3.4, you somehow know that there is a vhost configured to display admin.example.com, you can try the following command. And using this command, you can retrieve the contents of the site. Similarly, if you're not sure about a vhost but you want to fuzz it and figure that part out, an example syntax for that might be the exact thing that you see on your screen. In here, wordlist.txt is an extensive list made up of common subdomain names such as secret, admin, blog, etc. The example is only mentioned to give you a basic idea of how it works. Let us finally look briefly at another difference between subdomain fuzzing and vhost fuzzing as well. When you talk about subdomain fuzzing, it queries DNS to find valid names, for example, admin.example.com, that resolve to an IP. And when you talk about vhost fuzzing, it sends requests to one IP with different host headers to find sites configured on the server, even if they don't exist in the DNS. Once you find a vhost, and this is important, it is important to tell your computer how to reach it. You can always edit the etc host file, which you might find in any kind of tutorial that you are following. Then you can add the vhost by mapping it with the IP address. And then when you open it in your browser, your PC will know exactly how to reach it. If you found this video helpful, do share it with someone who might need it. And obviously, do save it as well in case you do need it for further reference. And yeah, until the next video, I wish you have a good day and bye bye.